Because I'm such a tight ass and didn't want to spend $30 on coat hangers, I decided to spend more than that on getting the parts I need to make it myself. Alrighty. So I've got a bit of a project I want to try. My motorcycle jacket's heavy duty coat hanger broke ages ago, and so I thought, oh, obviously I need to stop putting it off and buy a new one. But then I found the prices ranged from around $30 and the highest I saw was $170. I don't want to spend $30 plus on a coat hanger basically. Now obviously one coat hanger's not going to cut it. But what if I stick two together? So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to make my own heavy duty coat hanger simply by gluing two of these together. Because I'm such a tight ass and didn't want to spend $30 on coat hangers, I decided to spend more than that on getting the parts I need to make it myself. This 5-pack of coat hangers cost me $5. Thanks, Bunnings. Basically, all I'm going to do is sand off the varnish on, each side, liquid nails them together, and then basically just clamp them up like that until they dry and see how long it lasts. I could have had this done a long time ago, but I was an idiot and thought I'd record the process and put it on YouTube instead. Nothing fancy here. Alright. Nice rough and ready sanding block. Can get that in frame, you idiot. So obviously this is the one I've just sanded. When you're gluing anything together, you need a clean, dry surface. Technically you can just stick it to the varnish, but all that's going to happen is that varnish is going to pull away with the glue and you won't get a strong bond. My concern was that the weight of one is just going to rip that out of the threads, but by bracing the load over two hooks, we're hoping that that will last a little bit longer. So let's get to work on the second one. The sanding block cost me about $3 from Bunnings. Right, now this is an ancient, where is it? I probably should be going and getting wood glue, but I'm a tight ass. I've got this ancient tube of liquid nails that I've only had cause to use 2 or 3 times in its life. Go thread a wood screw into your nozzles. It keeps your nozzles clean and keeps the liquid nails fresh. Okay, let's do this properly, please. It is entirely possible nope, that's good. Don't. Don't do what Nick does. Alright, screw it. This nozzle's too old. Ah! Don't get it. Partner will kill me. Nozzles are for the weak. Okay, that probably didn't work as well as I was expecting. I didn't consider that the nozzle would be rubbish. Now, liquid nails does expand as it dries, which is why you want a good solid clamp on there. Now, I wouldn't recommend using your bare hands. We'll use a bit of cardboard from the clamp just to get in there and tidy that up. Incidentally, liquid nails does sand quite cleanly. Oh, screw it. You know, this join does not need to be perfectly flush, but it's going to annoy me if it's not. I guess the only thing to do now is to not touch anything. Yeah. Obviously this lot's going in the bin. To be fair, this tube of liquid nails is about 3 years old and I haven't used it in that time. Had I been more prepared, I could have spent a couple of dollars on a new pack of nozzles, but I'm a tight ass. So, yeah. I'll let that dry. Try and demicrophone myself without gluing myself to anything. And we'll come back and see how we got on. Alright, so say you're like me and you've got liquid nails all over your fingers. Nail polish remover is just what you need in a pinch. Because the acetone in the nail polish remover will dissolve the adhesive in the glue. Now, I literally have dried liquid nails on every finger. Now, whilst I should really recommend that you use gloves when handling any kind of industrial adhesive, such as liquid nails. It works. Arguably, it's easier to let the glue dry out to do this than smear wet glue further. It's as easy as that. Don't stress if you get glue all over your fingers. Just keep a bottle of nail polish remover nearby. And in my case, I always do. But yeah, don't do what Nick does. Use gloves when you're handling adhesives.
5 minutes later.
Alrighty. So it's been 24 hours, give or take, since I glued up my DIY coat hanger. First of all, you're going to notice completely different audio and video setup. Yesterday I tried using my webcam on my laptop, just hoping to make it easier on myself, but as you just saw, the quality was rubbish. Didn't like it, so now this is only going to take me a minute, so we're just going to use the phone. So those spring clamps seem to have done the trick. Now, liquid nails does expand when it dries, so I'm going to try and get it to focus here. Maybe I can show you better that way. Alright. Now, this doesn't need to be pretty. If I was really worried about it, I would sand off the dried liquid nails. Actually, you know what? Not that I'm too worried about it, but we'll give it a quick brush. Leaving it running because I'm lazy. And we're back. Alright, so not bad for $3 this little sanding block. Now, liquid nails does sand pretty well once it's dried. Is that just an Aussie thing? I had someone comment on my short going like, what's liquid nails? And obviously they Googled it. I thought it was like a universal thing. I didn't realise that it was such a localised thing. Now, I don't want to sand this so hard that I rip the lacquer off the top, but we can absolutely take some of the roughness away from the adhesive. Oh my God, I thought my days of timber sanding were well behind me. Now, that looks a bit rubbish, but it's just for my coat, so what do I even care, really? Alrighty. Alright, in the kitchen with Nick. Right, so, what I have, this is my winter insert. I'm not zipping... Hello. I'm not going to zip this into the jacket just to prove a point, because even though summer's over now, it's still quite warm. Alright, but what I am going to do is, this is how I store it, of course. Now, could you just use 2 loose hangers? Yeah, I suppose you could, but it's the weight of everything combined. I don't think that a single wooden coat hanger is going to last that long with this amount of weight on it. And I think not gluing them together would just be a pain in the bum. So I've got my double whammy. I couldn't tell you how much this weighs, but it was enough to snap the original hanger. all that's really left for me to do now is to hang that up and see how long it lasts. Don't really expect an update on this, because even if it lasts a couple of months, I spent $5 on a 5-pack of hangers. I can still make a double again, or even a triple if I want. I use liquid nails for this project, not because it has any special kind of properties, but I know it's strong. It's what I had on hand. Now, the hope for this project was that this wouldn't break, because the plastic snapped on the original heavy-duty hanger. So if it's going to break, it's going to be that these hooks, they're just screwed into the timber. They're just going to pull out if it's not going to work. I'm not worried about the liquid nails breaking, because I will sooner snap these than I will pull this apart. Like, it's liquid nails, it just works. So if this does fail, even before gluing up another pair, I thought I've got some masonry plugs. You know, the ones you say you want to drill into, well, masonry, brick or concrete. You drill, say it's a 5 or 6 mil hole, depending on the plug. You hammer it into the hole and then you screw into the plastic plug. I don't have any on hand. Actually, fuck it. Not pausing again because I'm lazy. I will edit in post. Okie dokie. God. I waste more time being lazy than just getting up and going to do it. So, masonry plugs. This is all they are. So the way that works is you measure this, obviously, drill a pilot hole, hammer these into the hole, in which case it would be here, and then you just, I can't actually undo these without breaking them, and I'm not sure that I want to. But the screw thread grips onto the masonry plug instead of the original material, which there's a couple of doors around this old shithouse house that, you know, this is a 62-year-old house now, 63-year-old house now. I've been here for 10 years. There's a couple of doors that have pulled off the hinges and pulled out the timber. A couple of these masonry plugs give them a new lease of life. So just remember that if you ever pull a screw out of timber, drill out your hole, pound one of these in. They are pretty easy to cut to length too, either with a Stanley knife or a pair of scissors, depending on how you're working. But 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 pack. Yeah, they're not super expensive for a pack of 25. Yeah, long story short, that even if I destroy the threads on this cheap timber and these cheap hooks, I'll try using those plugs to see if it's any stronger, or at least lasts a little bit longer. Of course, if I can't unscrew the hooks, how am I going to screw them in again anyway? That's a problem for another time. Yeah. Realistically, this is a job that could have taken me 2 minutes, but instead I wanted to make a video about it because all my riding videos are starting to look the same. I've been up and down every interesting road 10 times already. I've got like 150 odd Honda videos. So I'm just trying to think of new ideas, and yeah, it mightn't be that interesting to really anyone, but if you're like me and you don't want to spend a ridiculous amount of money on a coat hanger, give it a go. Why not? Even if it only lasts 6 months or a year, it's still better than spending $70 on one that's going to last 6 months to a year. The original Dry Rider hook that came with the coat didn't last more than a year. Barely more than a year. Because these jackets, they are heavy. And I don't even have proper armour with that in. I don't even have proper armour in that jacket. I just have the foam it came with. So it's heavier again if you're riding with, well, actual armour. This lightweight foam, I don't know. It's not proper armour. It probably wouldn't last too long in a slide, but it's better than nothing, I guess. And I have, well, a lot of you that have been around since the motorised bike days might remember the time that I crashed going downhill at 50 k's an hour. Because my front tyre popped on the Mark V hybrid bike. That was the electric 2-stroke hybrid. All I was wearing was basically not much more than I'm wearing now, and a helmet and gloves. I landed on my head and completely tore up my hips and my knees, and I was off my feet for about 6 weeks. I mean, my riding pants have no armour in them. They're just for, they're off-road pants, basically. They'll save you in a gravel fall, which I've done that on the Honda. That's on video. I would rather have this than not. But someone who knows better than me, who rides with actual armour, tell me, can you bend armour like that? Because that's how I get this one back in. Someone's probably going to be out there having a conniption fit saying, no, you're doing it wrong. You mustn't ever bend the armour. But you know what? Just fuck it. And I put it in upside down. Look. This is why my jacket's only been washed on average once a year. I've washed this thing twice ever. But I ride in the rain a lot, so that counts as a wash, doesn't it? It always feels a little bit funky when you take your armour out to put your jacket in the wash and you shove everything back in there again. The first time you put it on, everything feels a bit squidgy and out of place until it settles around the shape of your body again. That's it. So next planned video is changing the sprockets on the Honda. The Australian model has a 420 sprocket and chain set, which I did order from Honda a couple of months ago now. But instead I decided to bite the bullet and upgrade it to the other standard 428 chain and sprockets. Now the stock rear sprocket is a 41 tooth and I've got a 42 tooth. Front sprocket is 14 tooth, but I've also got a 428 13 tooth that I've had sitting there for over a year since the first time I tried to change the sprockets. Now there was no aftermarket for this bike yet. It was still too new. But another year's gone by and you know, the sprockets have popped up on the aftermarket. I actually tried changing the rear sprocket to the OEM one that I have, the 420. This was when I did the clutch plates on this bike. I attempted to get the rear tyre off to replace the rear sprocket, and I've been at it for an hour. It didn't come straight apart, shock horror. And I can jimmy Give me the height. Okay. And I'm just like, I don't have the energy for this anymore. So that was about a month ago now. Barely ridden the bike. I've ridden it once, actually, since I put the new clutches in. When I can be bothered changing the sprocket. I'm curious to see how the 42 tooth sprocket is going to go. And whether or not the 428 chain is going to last any longer than the 420 chain did. Now, I treat my bike like absolute crap. So it's no surprise that it's worn out, but I would rather change it before it becomes drastic. Well, thank fuck I'm still recording, because I've done stuff like this before and gotten to the end and realised that the phone was off. Have a bit of boob. And because I'm not, oh, fuck's sake. Now, the concern is, don't get it. Yeah. All right, look at that. Look at me being rude. Will it focus? Come on, look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Now, take my word for it. Liquid nails all over my finger. I'm sorry, this camera's not going to show you very well, is it? Ah, there you go. Hi! I'm going to sand my fringe if I'm not careful. Like, I don't think that a single wooden coat hanger is going to last that long. I can do this. I don't think that a single wooden coat hanger is going to last that long with this amount of weight on it. Alright. I'll kneel down for this. So, oops. Haha. Alright. Not much of a viewing angle, is there? There's no way to get this in the single frame. I can stand back here, but I know my voice is going to be quiet as, because phone camera microphones are terrible. I will edit in post. Hi! Hi! Hello! Hi! Okie dokie. Ah! God. Yeah. Yeah. Busted the zipper on that, didn't I? Yay, that's going to be a nuisance. Do you see what I did? Let's see if I can pull that out. No problem. All right, let's get you down here. Editing. All right. Let's do my zip up properly this time, Nikki. But stupid cat. and you know, when I can be bothered changing the sprocket, drastic. Well, thank fuck I'm still recording, because I've done stuff like this before and gotten to the end and realised that the phone was off.